Welcome everybody to the official 2020 award ceremony for the British Occupational Hygiene Society, a Royal Charter company and charity, and it's been hosted virtually for the first time this year, hopefully the first and the last time, we shall see. So we're going to kick off the ceremony with our first award, which is the Early Career Occupational Hygienist Award, which is kindly sponsored by Casella, who you'll be aware have supported BOHS massively over the years. Anybody who's attended the BOHS annual conference will know them straight away from the name of the Casella socials that we have each year. I've been very grateful indeed to Casella for being one of the kind of the stalwarts and foundations of the conference all this time. So shame that we're missing that this year, but like I say, hopefully in 2021 we'll pick up on that again. More information on Casella can be found in a description below, and thank you to Casella for enabling us to offer this great award. Now, the award is the Early Career Occupational Hygienist Award, previously known as the Young Hygienist of the Year. The aim is to recognize talent and to stimulate ongoing professional development in occupational hygiene. For this year's award, we asked all applicants to produce an essay on their interpretation of the future of occupational hygiene and the effects of new technology on the profession. And we had some fantastic submissions from that. And we'll be publishing all those submissions in the BOHS Exposure magazine later in the year. But there was one submission which we felt really did itself justice for the award. And we are proud to present this award to Adam Clark. Well done, Adam. You did a fantastic job in this piece, looking at the use of artificial intelligence in the future. Is there a clap button on this GoToMeetings somewhere, or a cheer app or something?
Just do a real one.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
Adam, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, well, it's a great honour. Thanks very much for the award. I didn't expect to win. It's a bit of a surprise. I'm very fortunate to work in a team of brilliant hygienists who have been able to mentor me over the last few years. So it's a token of their mentoring, if anything, really. So yeah, thanks very much.
Fantastic. Adam, we know you're out there now, mate. We know you're a talent. So beware the phone call from BOHS head office looking for volunteers. We know you're out there, pal. And thank you.
Cheers. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Adam. Okay, so now we move to the second award of the evening. This is the Thomas Bedford Medal, which was named after one of our founding members and our very first president. During his life, Tom Bedford was an investigator within occupational health for the Industrial Fatigue Research Board for the Medical Research Council, and shortly afterwards he specialized in researching thermal comfort. He was renowned for his publication of the MCR War Memorandum number 17 on environmental warmth and its measurements, which saw issues such as medical officers not being able to use various equipment due to lack of knowledge. That was being highlighted and then resolved through this work. He then continued publishing his research, in particular the basic principles of heating and ventilation. He was a monumental part of BOHS, and therefore we dedicated a medal and a prize to him. And the Thomas Bedford Medal is awarded based on nominations by those around you who feel you provided an outstanding contribution to the improvement of worker health protection. And pleased to say we've had several considerations for this medal, and we're amazed by the amount of great work that's been taking place within our industry to make so many nominations come forward. After some consideration by our awards committee, we are pleased to present the Thomas Bedford Medal this year to Bill Cassells. Press those clap apps. Cheer up for that. Fantastic. So, Bill, I understand the medal is still currently in production, but it'll be with you shortly. So, Bill was nominated by Adrian Sims. So, Adrian, we were wondering if you'd like to say a few words on why you decided to nominate Bill.
Thank you, Kelvin. I've been influenced, a few people have influenced me during my career as a sort of engineer coming through the industry. My background is building services engineering, and I didn't know anything about occupational hygiene, didn't come into any of my training, my degree or anything like that. And over the years, done lots of engineering. When I started Ventec in 2001, it was all based on an engineering background. And it wasn't until I went to a BOHS conference in Norwich, which Alvin and Andy Giddes was at, that I come across occupational hygiene. And on the way drive back to Bristol from Norwich, it got me thinking, what is this? What is the hygiene element to do with LEV engineering? And it got me looking at courses, and I came across Bill. And some of my engineers went on Bill's courses, and I ended up doing a P602 design course with Bill. And I think we did the very first one. And it's a bit of the blind leading the blind, but we got through it and made a bit of a success in it. And Bill's teaching and the way he taught it joined up for me the engineering and the hygiene. And it wasn't about the nuts and bolts and fans and things that suck. It's about the people who use this and making that link. And Bill's enthusiasm in the course enabled us to really embrace that and take it forward. I know that over the years, Bill's taught thousands of students who have all been influenced by that same enthusiasm to go out there and make a difference, and not just put in extraction systems, fans in walls and fans in roofs that suck and call it LEV, but actually make stuff work and make people consider the actual operator who's using these systems. They're the people we're trying to protect. So through his teaching, I think Bill has reached out and been able to literally save thousands of lives by teaching people how to look at LEV correctly. And I think it's a well-deserved award for some fantastic work over a long period of time.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you for that, Adrian. Bill, if you're there, is there anything you'd like to say?
I'm incredibly honoured to be awarded the medal. And it was a lovely thing for Adrian to say. I've known Adrian since he were a lad. In fact, I guess there's a word of warning to Adrian. Some of the older people around may remember Dr. Frank Gill. When I was a young lad like Adrian, Frank Gill was the kind of elder statesman of my field, if you like. And suddenly a couple of years ago, I realized I'd morphed into Frank Gill. And I guess the warning to Adrian is that he's next in line. So you're going to morph into Bill Cassell's one day, Adrian, and you'll do probably a better job. But Adrian has struck a very deep chord with me, and that is that this field that Adrian and I both work in, we're specialists, if you like, in the occupational hygiene world, does involve pure occupational hygiene and engineering. It's a bridge subject. It requires both. And up to now, there's been a team, a tribe, if you like, of engineers who shun the occupational hygiene side. And then there's been other occupational hygiene, pure occupational hygiene, who dabble in it, but don't have the engineering knowledge. And I think Adrian and I, over the years, have seen that it was our role to try and bring these people together in a friendly manner so that we can learn from each other. And I do believe we've had some successes in that, although I will say this is a path that's a very long way still to go. So all I can say is incredibly honoured by this, and thank you very much to Adrian too for the sponsoring, putting me forward, and I will try my best to honour the award.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Round of applause for Bill, please. You see, if we were in the ballroom, that would just happen naturally, wouldn't it? But, you've got to put the cues in there. Well, thank you so much, Bill. Okay, so our next award is the Trevor Ogden Award, and many of you will know of Trevor Ogden, especially if you read our Exposure magazine, where Trevor's a regular contributor. Most interestingly and fascinatingly recently has been with the series The History of British Occupational Hygiene. No pressure, Trevor, but we're looking forward to the book, my friend. Trevor's also known for his amazing work in developing methods of measuring inhalation hazard of radon progeny in flammable atmospheres, which became a standard method for these measurements in British coal mines. He was also part of the team who developed the Rice Quality Assurance Scheme and methods of internal quality control. After his BOHS presidency and retirement, he successfully took on the role as chief editor of the Annals of Occupational Hygiene, for which we are immensely grateful. Amongst his other accomplishments, personally, I've benefited from Trevor's work statistics recently. Trevor was instrumental in the production of the EN 689 standard. That's a cause dear to my heart. I'm very grateful for all the voluntary effort that Trevor put into that. Also, of course, Trevor's the recent recipient of an OBE for his service to occupational hygiene and workplace air quality. An amazing gentleman, delighted to have you as a friend and with us tonight, and pleased that you've joined us this evening and agreed to announce this year's winner. Trevor, if I can pass to you.
Well, thank you very much, Kelvin, and I hope you all like the photograph of what I used to look like. The Trevor Ogden Award is for voluntary effort, and looking at this, voluntary contribution, and looking at what tonight's awardee has done, I'm surprised that he has found any time to do voluntary effort at all, because he's had a very distinguished and responsible career. And that made me think that the people who've made the biggest impact on occupational hygiene are people who would have been successful in other fields as well. Alex was a chemist. I suppose he probably still considers he is a chemist. And I was interested to read that his PhD was on the interaction of biogenic and anthropogenic organic compounds, which sounds really interesting. So I won't say any more. I will just say congratulations to Alex Bianchi on receiving the Trevor Ogden Award.
Thank you very much indeed, Trevor. In fact, very kind words indeed. And as Trevor, you probably know, as much as anybody, I was sort of one of Jim Sanderson's sort of proteges, really, going back to and I'm going to make myself sound very old now, going back to the 1970s. And when I was a chemist, and Jim had brought into the group a number of people that some of you will remember from years past, people like Malcolm Evans, Chris Money, amongst others, and Alan Jones, a name from the far distant past, and people who, in their own ways, were doing quite significant work, back then. And I had the great fortune to be brought into that group and to be able to sort of benefit from the group dynamic, which was created by being able to work with those people, and through the influence of Jim and others, I had the privilege of interfacing then with people like Mike Clayton and other names, again, Trevor, that you will know and remember from your own past. And it's probably true to say that Trevor was, to turn this round, Trevor was regarded as the health scientist par excellence of his time. And, and I remember being very, very worried when I submitted a paper for publication in the Annals, when Trevor was the editor of the Annals of Occupational Hygiene back in, I think it was the late 90s, Trevor. And at the time, it was a very abstract, sort of very mathematical paper, which was partially based on PhD research. It was partially based on very, very complex modelling, looking at potential exposure to a variety of very complex or volatile organic compounds to which people could be exposed to when working in particularly water treatment plants and sewage plants and chemical processing plants. And it was sort of it was using some very, very sophisticated models that had been developed by the University of East Anglia, primarily associated with understanding air-sea exchange. And we did something rather bold at the time, which was we decided to conduct research looking at whether they could be applied to occupational hygiene and whether they had any predictive value in terms of being able to predict exposures to operatives based on being able to assess the sort of temporal variation in the concentrations of certain compounds within water. And, as far as we were aware, that had never been done before. So, as you can imagine, there was some anxiety, you know, around, you know, whether it worked, which it did. I hasten to add, it actually turned out to be a very, very useful predictive model. But when we submitted it to the annals, you know, we recognised that you know, it would require, you know, people of significant scientific prowess to be able to look at it and actually understand what we were talking about. And I'm glad to say that sort of Trevor, you know, with Trevor's background and experience, you know, he was able to sort of see things that other people couldn't. I would say that, you know, like all careers in occupational hygiene, your career is greatly aided by, and I know this is a very well-worn statement, but by being able to stand on the shoulders of giants, you know, being able to sort of get up there with some of the great thinkers and developers in occupational hygiene, and to be able to talk to them and learn from them. And this is incredibly powerful. And it's one of the reasons why we have needed and continue to need champions for the discipline, you know, to be able to sort of move things forward. Just very, very briefly, I will say before I finish, somebody mentioned Frank Gill. And actually, Frank Gill was one of my examiners at my very first certificate oral. And he was terrifying. Of all the examiners, he asked me these incredibly complex questions about lead and air. And I can honestly say I have never forgotten that gentleman, because I was giving Frank this sort of very complex response to his answer. And he said, "I hate to tell you this, Alex, but I don't really agree with you, and partly on the basis that I was the person who invented the lead head." Which was, put it that way, it shot me down sort of well and truly. And but no, I remember it fondly, actually. And Frank was a very imposing gentleman indeed. But no, I'd like to thank the committee most sincerely, and I'm very grateful. And you know, I think we continue to do great work, and you know, as a society, we play a far more important role than we're often given credit for, and long may it continue.
Thank you very much, Alex. And thank you, Trevor, for joining us, for giving the award this evening too. So quick round of applause for Alex. Okay, next up we have the Ted King Award. Ted King worked in the Department for Research in Industrial Medicine of the Medical Research Council before progressing through his career to Director and later Chief Executive of the National Occupational Hygiene Service. He was a member of the Expert Committee of the World Health Organization, a member of the British Examining Board in Occupational Hygiene, which, for those of you who weren't aware, merged with BOHS many years ago. He became a fellow of the Faculty of Occupational Medicine and went on to receive the BOHS Bedford Award in 1990. And it's because of his dedication to improving occupational hygiene through education that we dedicate this award to him. So this award is presented to those that have received the highest marks in the BOHS Certificate of Operational Competence in Occupational Hygiene in the previous year. And this year, the best score for 2019 goes to Deirdre Rooney. Congratulations and well done on a fantastic achievement, Deirdre.
Thank you very much.
Deirdre, can I ask you to say a few words?
Thank you very much for the recognition for the award. I suppose I'm very early on in my career. Have this sort of a reward and recognition for that is great. It's definitely giving me the encouragement to work hard and to continue at the pace that I am. I'm not going to lie, the exam was very hard. I walked away very upset and very not very confident about what I'd achieved. To have this award, it kind of recognises that all of that was for the good of my career. I suppose it's given me the extra confidence now when I'm on site to be confident in what I'm communicating to clients, to educate my colleagues on what I'm doing and what we're doing, and to work hard on that. And I suppose a big part of it as well is the mentor program that's coming together for the BOHS, that I can continue to get that mentorship from people that have been in the field a lot longer than I have, colleagues like yourself that will advise me. I suppose here in Ireland, it's kind of limited field, so to have the support of other mentors in the UK and abroad is just a great thing to have. And thank you again for recognition.
Thank you very much, Deirdre. So give yourself a good chance to recover now, and then diploma is the next step.
I know, short recovery.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well done, Deirdre.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to our next award, which is the David Hicks Award. David Hicks was a lecturer in industrial hygiene at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, and he went on to become the director of the Occupational Hygiene Service and later became an industrial hygiene specialist for Ford. He was also on the British Examining Board in Occupational Hygiene and was in fact the chairman. And he held a position on several committees and boards where he provided his expertise and knowledge in areas such as industrial noise and welding fume. In terms of his connection with BOHS, he served as honorary treasurer before becoming president. And like Ted King, he showed dedication to educating others on occupational hygiene so that we could progress and help us to get to where we are today in the profession. So it seems only fitting to commemorate him in the form of this award. And this award is presented to those that have received the highest marks in the BOHS Diploma of Professional Competence in Occupational Hygiene in the previous year. And this year, the award goes to Andrew Crowther. So this qualification is the ultimate qualification in occupational hygiene and allows Andrew to gain chartered status as an occupational hygienist. So huge congratulations. Andrew, how does it feel to become a chartered hygienist?
It feels wonderful. It's a great honour. I'll say to Deirdre, you'll feel the same thing when you take your diploma exam. You'll feel exactly how you did again with the certificate. Probably a little bit worse. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I passed. It left a scar, but it's made me a better hygienist. I've already thanked a lot of my colleagues at work, and I'll thank Kelvin now because back in the day, many years ago, he gave me a chance in consultancy, which was wonderful at the time and opened my eyes to the real depth and breadth of occupational hygiene, which I've never forgotten. I'm now working back in industry at Sellafield for almost 10 years and thoroughly enjoying it. And yeah, I think this has made me a better hygienist. It's something I probably should have done years and years ago, but every hygienist probably says the same thing because of the oral exam. I'm glad I did it, and say thank you very much for the award. And it was a pleasant surprise when I got the email. So thank you once again.
Fantastic. Thank you, Andrew. That brings us to our final award for the evening. This award's a very special award, which was named after Peter Isaac. For those of you who don't know the history of BOHS, Peter Isaac was our very first honorary secretary, whose ambition was for putting occupational hygiene in the spotlight in the UK, and one of the key reasons why BOHS exists today. He was the first professor of public health engineering in the UK, and he had a position on the Council for the Institute of Civil Engineers and was also a special advisor to 2 committees in the House of Lords. He contributed on several committees on behalf of BOHS and was awarded the BOHS Bedford Award back in 1978. So the Peter Isaac Award is awarded to an initiative that has shown immense contribution to the reduction of ill health at work. Now, this year, the Peter Isaac Award is given to the HSC program of Cooling Tower Interventions for 2013-2014. This was an initiative carried out by the Health and Safety Executive Occupational Hygiene Unit, and we are delighted to see them attend this evening. We're going to ask Duncan, as he put this initiative forward, to say a few words. So before we do so, I'd just also like to acknowledge the amount of work, hard work and effort and pressure the HSC have had to deal with over the last few months, and give our thanks, for the amount of efforts that they've put in that time. I know it's been a particularly difficult time for them, so thank you for that as well, guys. So Duncan, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you. Yeah, It's a great honour to receive this award on behalf of the Occupational Hygiene Unit. It really was a team effort, and delighted that Gordon Smith and Rob Williams are on the call as well. But really, you know, the names across the bottom there: Sam Lord, John Healy, Preeti Shah, Martin Dilworth, Martin Gibson, Julie Helps, Martin Belcher as well, all integral to planning and delivery of this project. It required a significant amount of occupational hygiene input to provide some strategic lead and governance across HSE. We involved in the planning. We trained inspectors on how to deliver this project. We went out and joint visited with them. We answered all their queries. We did the analysis of all the visits. It involved 1,906 inspections by HSE and ONR across an 18-month period, which, you know, in terms of interventions, is a massive undertaking for HSE, and you know, the results seem to well, they certainly justify the intervention. Whereas, you know, in the 10-year period leading up to 2011, there were 7 different outbreaks associated with cooling towers, resulting in 173 cases of Legionnaire's disease and 10 deaths. In the six years post the intervention, there has been 1 outbreak associated with cooling towers, which affected 5 people, and there hasn't been any deaths. A huge amount of effort, but we can see that it's had an impact in terms of reducing the likelihood of these high impact, low frequency events. You know, it's not very often that HSE gets a chance to really share our success, but this is one of those occasions where you know, we've been able to really determine and measure our impact, because that's always a problem in our discipline, is measuring the impact of our interventions. You know, how do we know how many cases of ill health we've prevented? How do we know how many lives we've saved? But here, you know, we've been able to look at that and identify that, and you know, quite pleased to tell everyone about it.
Thank you very much, Duncan. Okay, so that's all the awards for this evening. Thank you to everybody, all our applicants, and their amazing contributions. Very proud to see so much wonderful work being done across the board in occupational hygiene, particularly the last few months. You know, it's I think the contribution that we've made has been great in so many kind of spheres. It's great to be part of this profession. We'll soon be publishing our interviews with the award winners. If you're interested in knowing more about their experiences, we'll be highlighting that through our various social media channels over the next coming weeks. And we're already currently accepting entries for our 2021 awards. So if you hop over to the BOHS award pages for details on how to apply, and you can put an entry or nomination in there for us. So thank you once again to all our award winners. Thank you for everybody for coming along this evening. Have a great evening. Thanks, folks.
Thank you. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Well done, everybody.
Thank you. Goodbye all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Brilliant. Thank you.